Hashto bagolo vizman torim. Good morning, Rabbi Sai. One of the best, one of the all-time best. Givaldic. Wow. I'm super excited to be here, be'emes. Really, it's a tremendous zechus to be here. I didn't bring the picture with me. One of my favorite pictures, maybe my favorite picture, was the shir in Borough Park when we had 1,500 people. Yisrael Goldstein took it from the back corner. Beautiful, beautiful picture. Echo. We have some professionals there. Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. So, I have a goal. I always had a goal to bring more Yidden to Torah. Fortunately, a lot of people share that goal and they help out. And it became a mishpacha of people who want to help other people in life. And the best way we know how to do it is introducing them to Torah. Torah brings happiness in life. Torah brings just a completion with everything people do. I'm out of my comfort zone. I came from Eretz Yisrael to America. It's tough to travel, as you know. Right now, it's the middle of the night. 6 hours ahead, whatever it is. I just came in from Baltimore, almost a 4-hour ride in a car. Today's shir is going to be one of the worst shiurim ever. No, chas v'shalom. I did have to prepare in the car with one of the world's best drivers, Avigdor Fold. Givaldic. So, we're here and I got to tell you, I was in Baltimore last night, and I was very mechuzak. A lot of people came out. Think about it. 500 people, over 500 people, took upon themselves to help MDY and to go out of the comfort zone, because it's never easy. And people get very nervous. It's fundraising. You have to raise funds. You have to ask people. It's not like that, because this charity started this whole thing. You have a lot of other companies, a lot of other organizations. They do basically the same thing. We're very, very excited to work with charity, the Valdic guys. And you're going to hear from one of them, from Mendel Abelsky, later on. But the idea is to take the edge off of it, to make it more fun, more accessible. It's not a big deal. You put it on your status, you put it on your WhatsApp, and people send in money. You wouldn't believe it. We have here somebody, I gotta say, Moshe Feintuch. He took upon himself, I think that's how he pronounces his name, something like that. He took upon himself a $10,000 goal, and in 2 days he completed his goal. So Yishkoyach or Moshe, wherever you are. There you go. Get up for a second.
I love FT1!
Yes. Well, time out. Moshe, I want to put you on the spot. Stand up for a second. I need you to take on another $10,000. You did in 2 days. What can you do in 4 days?
You want me to stay married?
Oh. Okay, take upon yourself another 5. Anyway. The point is that many of you have been part of these drives, and all of us have received so many of them, sometimes a dozen in a week. And it's not the end of the world. You get it. Either you like the guy, you give something. You don't like the guy, you don't. Over 2,000 people donated to this drive so far in the last few days, and $100,000 was raised. In other words, $50 average per. So it's not the end of the world. Now, let me just say why we're doing this, who we are, and what's behind this. So, MDY is a shir of Daf Yomi, but it's a lot more. The stories that I read in the emails, the lives that have been changed, and I'll tell you a few of these stories, okay? Some of you are familiar with the stories, some are not. A week and a half ago, if you're watching the shir, so you're probably familiar. A week and a half ago, the guy that wrote the article in Mishpacha magazine in Hebrew was supposed to be the cover. I got kicked off by some I don't remember, some Rosh Hashiva that had a baby when he was 88 years old. I don't know. They put me in a little corner in the bottom. Fine. He's an amazing, Shlomo, very, very good writer. And because he wrote the article, he became part of the shir, and he got addicted. And he came up, I called him to the front to thank him for the article. It's a beautifully written article. And he said, I want to tell you, it actually changed my life already, because it's the first time in my life I went on vacation and I brought a Gemara with me and I learned on vacation. Never learned on vacation. So I said, there's somebody in the room who just told me the same exact story 2 days ago. So I called him up at Tzal. He says, yeah, I'm 25, 26 years old. I went to Georgia. He went to Rome and he went to Georgia. First time in my life I'm learning on vacation. Changes like that. I'm not even talking about that people walk straight and the changes. I'm talking about Ruchni's changes, Gashmi's changes, all sorts of changes. These two guys learn Torah on vacation now. I received one of the most emotional letters. I opened it up and I said this in Shir. I'll say it again for those of you who haven't heard it. On the trip here, on the flight here, somebody wrote me a 3-page letter. My wife looks at me, she goes, "What's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" I said, "You'll read it, you'll see." It's a very emotional letter. But he says, one of the things he says there, he says, who would believe that I, a person who never opened up a sefer since whatever grade, that I would, in the middle of the Purim Suda, tell my wife, hold on, I forgot to do Shnayim Mikra, and I do it every day. Give me a few minutes. And he walked to the side and did Shnayim Mikra. Changes in a person's life. And then you have the Hasidic Ingeman that came to me at the Shabbaton with a beard longer than any beard you know. Payas up to here. And he says, can I speak to you? Me and my wife want to speak to you. So I say, okay. I go to the corner. They're both crying. What happened? He says, for 5 years, I haven't davened once in 5 years. Not once, not Rosh Hashanah, nothing, not once. But since I started this year, I haven't missed a minyan in over a year. Another big one. At the same Shabbaton. And these are stories you might have heard, but I'm going to repeat. Same Shabbaton. A woman came over to me. She said that she had a dream that a Rav with a long beard, she wasn't religious, said something about learning Mesechus Beitza. She said, I don't know what that is. So she went to the local rabbi, and the rabbi explained to her, it's a Masechta, and this, and Klal Yisroel is doing a siyum on it. So she looked up on YouTube, and she found the shir, and she started watching the shir. She got in a chal to learn Mesechus Beitza. She went crazy. She started learning Mesechus Beitza, and she became frum. And she came to the Shabbaton with her husband. She says, listen, I play it loud in my house because I want him to become frum as well. He was there at the Shabbaton. A lot of you saw her. So the shir is changing lives. So 2 things. Number 1, we might be the biggest yeshiva in the world, 25,000 people learning Torah every single day together with achdus. Yeshiva with all sorts of people. We have Hasidim and Litvaks, Svardim, Ashkenazim, and everything in between, from non-religious Bichlal to, I know of at least a dozen non-frum people that watch the shir every day. I was in Miami. I'll tell you another story. In Miami, a guy comes over to me. He says, with somebody else. He comes over to me and says, I want to tell you, there's somebody in this room that wasn't Shomer Shabbos, and he's watching a shir, and I asked him, why are you watching the shir? He said, I like to watch the shir. Today, he's a Shomer Shabbos, Shomer Torah, because of your shir. So I asked him, I said, am I talking to him? He said, no. I said, am I talking to somebody that's standing next to him? He said, that I can't answer. So this guy became, so we might be, I can't say this because I don't know the other organizations. We might be one of the largest kiruv organizations in the world, Mekarev Kroivim, because I myself became a kuruv from the shir, and I'm sure many of you also became a kuruv. Mekurev means you do one more mitzvah differently. Somebody came over to me, because we learned in the Chagigah this, I started saying korbanos now every day. It's a good thing he does, because I don't. So I like it. I preach it that you should do korbanos, and I do half, whatever. So we're here. So Nachamal, the chizuk that I got to see that 500 people are willing to go out of the comfort zone. We're here tonight to see if you are willing to go out of your comfort zone, willing to take on a page, a team. It's the same thing. It means, let me just explain what it means. It means that you think that you know X amount of people that might give you some money, this amount. Let's say you come up, I could do $5,000. Okay. You take a page. Say, I'm going to tell people, and you send, and they give you, the charity does it for you. They tell you what to write to people. You say, okay, MDY changed my life. Help me change other people's lives, and you send it out to your friends. And then it's like a game. It's geschmack. You see the goal growing. You see it. It says, oh, you reached X amount of your goal. You just have this much. And that's it. If you don't raise that money, nothing. You don't have to put down your credit card. And you're not chayav anything. It's just a pledge. You think you could do it. No chiyuv. Not in a Torah level, not on a physical, nothing. So it's about coming out of the comfort zone. And we think that with this additional funds, we're going to be able to continue doing what we do, which is we have 12 salaries, we have 2 artists full-time. Besides that, just think about any small yeshiva, 100, 200 guys is $1 million, $2 million to run. We have an organization that's reaching 25,000 people. 25,000 people. So $1.5 million in Nishke Ferel. It's not the end of the world. Small change really for what we're doing. And we want to reach people on a whole different level. We want to step it up, do different groups, different things, add more artists, finish the building that we have. We put in just this year over $100,000 in MDY building. We have rooms now. We have this, that, the whole thing. Kids, you know how organizations work. Costs money to run. People will ask you, well, let Eli Stefansky pay for the whole thing. They say it straight out. Let him pay for the whole thing. I'm telling you right now, if I had $2 million in Meiser money, I wouldn't let anybody put a dime in. I would be like the guy from Klal Yisroel in Ner Tamid. He funds the whole thing by himself. You try to give him donations, he says, absolutely not. That's what I believe in it, more than anything. To be makar of people, to change lives. This guy that wrote me, here, one last thing, that's it, we'll start learning. The guy that wrote me the letter, I invited him to Shabbos in my house, and if you heard the story, I apologize. If you heard it 3 times in the last 3 days, I apologize. Love the mesayem. Invited him, Noam Fix made a chasana, we did Shabbos in my house. Invited him and his wife. I remembered during the Shabbos that his wife is the one that convinced him to come to the shir because I tried for 2 years, couldn't get him. And when I met them one time on Shabbos walking, I said, why don't you let him come to the shir? And she said, I want him to go get her. I said something, I said, it'll change your life, da-da-da. And she convinced him to come to the shir. He came out to Shabbos and never missed a daf since Megillah. So I told her, I said, you remember that time that we met and I convinced you? She says, how could I forget? Sometimes a person tells you a statement and it changes the entire family. That's what she said. Because usually I hear statement and it changes a person's life. It changed my whole entire family, she said. So we want to change tens of thousands of more Yidden's life through Torah, and we're asking for your help. And with that, we're going to jump into the shir. So, first of all, the schedule is tomorrow morning, because I didn't travel enough. Tomorrow morning, we are flying to Chicago for Shabbos. We're going to be back here in Brooklyn on Sunday morning. Sunday is something, I don't know what's going on Sunday. Monday is a big event in Lakewood. Here it is. You see it? Great. Guru Grand, something like that. Okay. Oh, first time ever, we're doing an event for women with the Grosser Rebbitzin Eli Stefansky and Mrs. Jackie Beton. Okay, it's for those, basically, if you're too scared to take a page, send your wife, let her do it for you. All right. Charity.com/MDY, as you can see on the bottom over here, is a Givaldic way, and if you don't want this to be shown on the thing, okay. Here's it. I want to show you 2 short videos that I took myself with my phone last night in Baltimore. Maybe you'll hear it, maybe you won't. Hopefully you could hear it. Let's see. You know what? Let's see if it goes through here.
Hi, I'm Andy Rosenblatt from Baltimore. I attended a local Jewish day school in 12th grade. Rebbe, I always struggled with Gemara ever since Parak HaMafkin in 5th grade. 12th grade, Rebbe told me he gave up on me. I didn't learn Gemara didn't even attempt to learn Gemara in any organized fashion until I started Bava Kama with MDY, thanks to the encouragement of Fishel and Yosef, and now I'm a regular daily Daf Yomi with MDY.
Beautiful. Kitzur's Rebbe told him in 12th grade that forget about Gemara and never be able to learn in his life, and he gave up from 12th grade until he found the shir, and now he learns every single day. That's one. And this I liked a lot. Pay attention to this guy. This guy is a modern Orthodox. It looks like a a modern guy, but some of the words that he uses, you could tell that he watches the shir. Mir Hashem, Nazir, the way he says it, he has a yeshivish sprach a little bit. What he's saying is, he's 15 years old, and he learned 500 daf already. Check this out.
Hi, my name is Akiva Kranzler. I'm 15 years old, and one day I felt like I needed some more Torah in my life, so I searched up on YouTube for the daf, and Reb Eli Shir was the first one that came up, and I took it from there, and it was so amazing, and I never stopped. And I've been doing it since Nazir. I've been doing it for 500 daf, and
500 daf.
500 daf, and Emir Hashem, I'll never stop.
Wow, unbelievable! Shkoyach, unbelievable. Shkoyach, beautiful.
All right, we'll jump into it, Rabbi Isai. I think there's some sponsors. We have to say the sponsors real quickly. These are, I can't read all these names. These are the guys from Baltimore, all the way on the left. Jeff from Harrisburg took $10,000 upon himself. Who else? Bria Biotech. Birya Biotech. Shkoyach, Birya Biotech. He gave me a ride today to Chakras, Vasikin. $10,000, and then a bunch of other people. Oh, somebody else gave $10,000 today from his own pocket. $10,000 donation in Baltimore. The kids are, Kivi Medetsky, $10,000. I'm just reading the big numbers, of course, you know what I'm saying? And also Kessler gave $250. Some of these guys are kids. I recognize some kids here that took like $350. Who was it? I don't remember. Okay. Thank you, Rabbi Isai. The Mesechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. The Paras HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be a zechus to rebel if you continue siyadta, dishmaya, and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Thank you very much for that donation, and that's the last day for him. Rafur Shleima Elimlech ben Tzipora for the month. Another Paras HaChodesh, Zechrya ben Moshe, Zechrya bas Yosef. Harness of the day 0, because everybody's giving their money to charity. Paras HaChodesh, anonymous with the zechus for an easy childbirth to his daughter and a healthy baby. And Rabbi said, I do want to remind the Olam, Perek HaMafkid is starting like in 3 days or something. So it's a great time to tell your friend to begin. And here we are. We're holding Daf Amud Beis. Like, I don't know, 13 lines from the bottom or something. I didn't count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 lines from the bottom. Does anybody have it? They made it? They printed it? They didn't chab. The guy that did it didn't realize that this is where he doesn't do the daf with us. He just... Okay. I have a question for the Olam. I'm going to Chicago tomorrow. And I've never carried in Chicago on Shabbos. There's an Erev there. I don't use the Erev. I'm machmer. Yeah, I don't. My wife does, I don't. I'm walking in the street and I see a nice jacket and it has somebody's name in it. Am I mechuyev to pick it up on Shabbos to give it back? Giving back an object, a lost object, is a mitzvah d'oraisa. It's a chiv d'oraisa. But I'm makbid on the Erev. So, you could rely on the Erev. Everybody else relies on the Erev. Do I have to deal with it? What do you say? Yeah. Yeah, but one is a deraisa and one is a... I have a chiv deraisa. If you have a chiv deraisa and you have rice on Pesach, maybe you do have to. I don't know. What? I don't want to put... It's too small. I don't know what. Okay, let's go. You hear the question? I see the Olam was tumbling about the question. If you think I have to return it, raise your hand. So 1 million of people. If you think I don't have to return it, raise your hand. And what about all the people that didn't raise their hand? What do you say? I have to return it? He has no idea. He's like you guys. Okay. It's machlokes. No, it's not machlokes. We're going to see soon. Gewaldig. So it says the Gemara like this. If a person finds a Sefer Torah, Finds a Sefer Torah, finds a Sefer made out of parchment. So he should not be learning from it for the very first time, because you could damage the Sefer like that. You're dwelling on one spot, different things will happen. You'll ruin it. And also you cannot let somebody else read with you, because you'll be pulling in different directions, you'll rip it. Ask the Gemara of Verminu. We have a question. It says, if you have somebody say Torah, you shouldn't read it twice. In other words, don't do Shnai Mikra V'Lecha Targum. Don't do Targum. The kids, they like to show off. They do Hagbah 17 Amudim, not more than 3. And 3 people shouldn't read from one place. It seems like you could have 2 people read. How come our Mishnah says you can't have 2 people read from one place? When 2 people are reading from 2 different places, they're not what's the word? Vying. They're not fighting over one makam, so they could both read from it. It's not a problem. But if they're both trying to get to read from one place, they'll start fighting over it. There's a very interesting kuzri. He says, how come Jews shake? They shuckle during Shemoneh Esrei. They shuckle. What is this? Some people say, they have a brand, they have a fire. But he says, because the minhag was back then, they didn't have money. It was very expensive to have a sefer. And 10 people would read from the same sefer Torah, or same sefer. So they were always vying for position. They were always they were moving, constant movement. And that's why the minhag stayed. It became like a habit, a bad habit sort of, and it stayed. That's what he says. So in those days, you had a garment, and again, we go through this, the shefa that we have, how many garments we each own. 1 or 2 garments. And you had to take good care of it. You had to shake it out. You had to do different things with it. So the Gemara says, so the Mishnah says you should shake it out every 30 days. You find the garment, you have to take care of this garment. You can't just put it in the closet and look for the owner. You shake it out every 30 days. It seems like shaking it is great for it. If a person has, here's a great picture Yoshi did. Great picture Yoshi did. I don't know what's going on here today. Oh, here it is. Maybe it's just a delay. Gardi means a weaver inside his house. He has a guy that weaves inside his house. It's a joke, right? It's not exactly what it means. Somebody that knows how to sew. So if you have a guy that sews, a woman that sews, then you know what? Then you can go ahead and shake out your beged every single day. But otherwise, it's not good. It's only because, basically, by shaking out your beged, you're going to tear it, right? It wasn't made like today, tight fabrics. They were like loose, and you start shaking it, it gets ruined. So Amri says the Gemara, B'chol yom kashila. B'chol yom kashila. If you do it every day, it's not good for it. Echad l'shleishim yom malila. We're talking about doing it every 30 days. That's okay. If 2 people, I don't know who's talking, but whoever it is, I appreciate it. It disturbs. If you have one person that shakes the beged out, it's okay. 2 people pulling it and shaking it could destroy the beged. Using a pole on top of a beged, it could ruin the beged. You do it by hand, it's okay. If it's wool, it gets ruined, and if it's cotton, it doesn't get ruined. It's interesting. I never knew this Gemara. I probably learned it once. But my grandmother, Aleh Shalom, who somebody sponsors every day, Lilu Nishmasa, I'm not going to say which one. It's an anonymous one. She would tell me, I lived in her house for a few months in Eretz Yisrael. So she would tell me it's very dangerous to drink warm water. She had a whole thing, and I used to say it's a Bava Metzia. It's like, why? Because the germs, if you boil up the water completely, then you kill the germs. But if you don't boil up the water, then you're aggravating the germs, she would tell me. And you're really, really dangerous. Can't do it. Okay, no, shine. She used to tell me a lot of stuff. Over here, Rabbi Yochanan says, don't drink warm water. Better to drink from a machasha, from a saucer or whatever. Here's a nice picture. You can drink. Oh, we'll wait for the picture to come up. Wow, this is slow. Drink from the saucer, but don't drink warm water. Okay. We're going to have some issues here with this. Mark, do you chop why it's so slow? Why it's taking 20 seconds, 30 seconds to jump from screen to what? I see it on this screen and I don't, until I see it on, it's not good. Maybe there's too many connections. Maybe the Houthis, they cut the cables or something. It goes through Yemen back here or something. Okay, this problem of the hot water, the warm water is only with the metal kli, of the kli cheres, earthenware, lesson, but we don't have a problem with that. If you didn't boil it, like my Bubby said, if it's boiled, it's not a problem. You didn't add something to it like tea, sugar, whatever. But if you add something to it, then it's not dangerous. Person is interested in destroying what he has. In other words, he's talking in a sarcastic way. If you want to lose all your money, I recommend that you wear these fancy clothing. Here we got okay, in 30 seconds from now, you'll see the kli zechus come on the screen. Here's a glass car. The whole car is glass. If you want to know what to do with your money and you want to, Bekitzer, hire people and don't be with them. It's a terrible idea to hire people and not work with them. We're talking about the special cotton. White glass. What does that mean? So, in those days, they didn't have cars, they didn't have vehicles, so they used to use a lot of bulls and oxen and all this stuff. So, if you just hire a guy and you don't see where he's going, what he's doing, he's going to cause you a lot of damage. It's very interesting. So, I forgot to tell you this, but I'll stick it in over here. There's two ways that I know to raise money. Charity is a lot of small money, a lot. You get $55, $180, and then some guy will throw you maybe $1,000. It's geschmack. There's another way. If you know somebody very wealthy that didn't give his meiser and chaimish yet, you go to him, you tell him how it impacted you. So I did that way when I was in Miami. I was there for a day, 24 hours. I met two people. First person, big tzaddik, gave me $18,000. 5 minutes, I told him I'm giving a shir in 10 minutes. I only have 5 minutes. I got to run. Kachava, in, out, gave my speech, 18. The other guy, also big tzaddik, turns out that he just started doing MDY 2 weeks ago, and he's very into it. He gave me $25,000. He told me that he's a young guy, and he said that, unfortunately, he has to have a private jet, and he loves it. He's always on it. It's a geschmack jet. And he said, Mamish, this, you reminded me of this. He says, we're talking about the pilots and this. He had full-time pilots, and he realized that he wasn't with them, and they just rang up crazy bills. They would go to stores and buy stuff and do things, and it was crazy. Mamish, this Gemara. If you're not with them, you just see your money. So now he just hires per flight. He doesn't have his own. He was telling me this. Threw it in here. So remember, why am I telling you this? If you know that Gvir and Shul, don't be embarrassed. Go over to him. Get $25,000 from him. You could take the garment that you found and you put it out. I should start putting the pictures on. Anticipating pictures, it takes about a minute to come up on the screen. I can just start clicking here. That's what I'll do. If it comes up a little early, Givaldi. What if it's good for you? Oh, it comes up quick when you do that. You see? What if you? Okay, if you're doing it for the beged, great. If you're doing it for yourself to show off to people that you have such a beautiful garment, no good. What if you do it for both? You're putting it out there to air it out so it doesn't get all moldy, but also at the same time you get a little kick from it, and somebody thinks you're a big veer. Tashma shoytcha in loy. So we're doing the classic Gemara that we could be medayik from the ratio one way and from the sefer the exact opposite, and therefore what? We don't learn anything from the Mishnah. And our Mishnah says that you put it out, the beged, for the use of the beged. Letzarka in, letzarka, but if you have a little bit of hana from it, you're not allowed to do it. Oh, but what about the sefer? It says in the Mishnah, you're not allowed to put it out for your own benefit. Only because it's 100% your benefit. What if it's both your benefit? You get 50% hana from it, the beged gets 50% hana. Shapir dami, then it's okay. Like fine, we can't learn anything from here. So it's interesting because the Gemara talks about you putting out a beged there, you're wearing a beged so that other people should be jealous. We spoke about it just 2 days ago about why people buy cars, nicer cars, when they can't even afford it. Because you have low self-esteem and you want other people to think that you're a chush of a guy, and what you're basically doing is you're making them jealous of you. So now they're not going to give you that covet that you want. They just despise you. They just hate you. So what's interesting is we daven, a lot of us daven, we daven that we shouldn't cause jealousy to other people, and people shouldn't be jealous of us. And then you go ahead and after you daven it, you say, okay, so how much is that $300,000 car? Could I get it on a better deal? We work hard it's funny, like we daven that people shouldn't be jealous, but then we work hard that they should be jealous, make a nicer house, okay. Says the Gemara, Toshma. The Chavetz Chaim says in the Mishnah Berurah, in Hilchas Tisha B'Av, he says that some of the biggest tzaros that we have is that when he talks about women dressing up and with jewelry and this and that, and it creates kinna by the guy. The Yakar says that that's one of the biggest problems that we have, that we live, Esav, Son of Yaakov, they have a certain kinna of us, and all we do is we increase that kinna. And they think that everything that we have, they deserve it. We stole the b'chayra, he goes through the whole thing. And then we go and we build these mansions and these zachin, and just to poke their eyes out, and we're causing ourselves a lot of harm with that. Toshma, lo yishtachena lo yagabe mita v'lo yagabe mogod litzarka. I hear. So the picture belongs over here. Let's see how long it'll take. 10, 9. Oh, came up. Went away. I love this picture because it has a kapata. We're in Borough Park here. It has the MDY, the green. You know how the kapatas are green? Here we go. Okay. Anyway, Givaldik. This is one of a kind. This actually is very expensive. It's not for sale. Anyway, so don't put it out on the bed or on this, peg for your own benefit to show off. That you could do if it's the benefit of the beged. By the way, Yosef Billyack, the editor, he text messaged me today, said, somebody was concerned about you. He said you were slurring your speech. Maybe you're very sick or something. I'm like, no, it's 5 o'clock in the morning for me. And I usually don't speak normally at 5 o'clock in the morning without going to sleep. It is 5 in the morning right now. Says the Gemara, what if you have guests and you want to show off? It says Mefurish over here that you're not allowed to show it off, even though it's going to be beneficial for the beged. Says the Gemara, Shani Hasam, the Mikla Kalile. What you're doing is you're burning the beged. What does that mean? Imishum Eina, you're either causing an ayin hara, imishum ganve, or you're causing people, you're showing them where this beged is, and they can come steal it. So that's why you shouldn't do it. Tashma. Interesting case. So we know there's something called Egla Arufa. Okay. Egla Arufa. Egla Arufa is when you find a body between two cities and you don't know who murdered this person. So the Chachamim, the Skanim, they come and they measure. If there's an exact measurement and we don't know, they have to do tshuva by bringing this egel and their oiref, the head. Chop, chop. So, just like paraduma, Rashi says we're talking about an egla arufa, Taisa says we're talking about a paraduma. But the idea is the same. It has to be a perfect egel that never worked in its life. So what if you took this egel and you put it, this is according to Taisvis, we're talking about a paraduma, the red heifer. You take this egel and you put it, you give it to the mother to nurse, but at the same time, it might be walking and threshing, it's in a threshing pin, whatever it is. It might be threshing some of the wheat. It's doing an avodah, doing a malacha, but also it's doing something for itself. It's also nursing. You guys hear that noise? So that's what I heard for the 45 minutes I was trying to take a nap in the hotel. I was on the 13th Avenue the entire time. Beep, beep. What is going on here? And then I realized when I was a bacher and I drove here in Brooklyn, that's what I did. I just had my hand on the thing. I would beep stam for fun. It was not even a thing. Okay. The animal remains kosher even though it performed the malacha. Why? Because it's going in there for itself as well. So what do we see? Perhaps we can bring a raya from here. 50-50 is okay. If you had in mind that it should do the disha, but also do yinika, puzzle. But it's beneficial for the animal, beneficial for yourself. It's bad. So by us also, beneficial for the beged, beneficial for you, it should be puzzle. Says Gemara, no, it's exeris hakasav. Shani azam do makro ashalei ubad ba mikol makoim. Oops. Oh. Okay. It says ashalei ubad ba. No work was done to it. Mikol makoim in any fashion. Yachi afilu reishanami. So even in the first case, when you didn't have intent that it should thresh, and it threshed, it should be also, it should be possible. Why? Because you're over on the ubad. If now we're talking about a paraduma, we're switching gears according to Rashi. We're going from an egla arufa to paraduma. It is the same. It says in the pasuk by paraduma that you shouldn't have, nothing should be on top of the animal. You shouldn't put a weight on top of the animal. So what if a bird lands on top of the animal? So we have a very good picture for that. Oh, so if a bird lands on top of the paraduma, you didn't ask the bird to land there; it decided to land, right? I don't know if you ever saw in the zoo, but certainly if you go to the safari, they have birds that have a relationship with the animal. In other words, the animal doesn't knock them off; they eat the parasites off the animal's back. You see it on rhinoceros, on the buffalo, all that. They eat the parasite, and the animal benefits. Now he's clean from parasites. The bird benefits, eat the parasite, and they have a great relationship. They have it by the fish also, huh? Symbiotic. And by fish also, you have the cleaner fish that will go into the mouth of another fish to clean out. Right? And that fish, they have a deal. It's not going to eat him, even though it's very easy to eat him, and he cleans out the mouth, fine. So this is a little bit off. They have this in the safari. They have these ostriches there, but they don't jump on other bulls' backs. Okay. Allah zachar. What about a zachar was mating with it? Psula, that passes. Why? Because the owner wants that. It benefits the owner. Maybe he'll have another paradumo, be gevaldik. So it's very interesting. Tosfos asks a bomb kasha. Why would anybody in the right mind want a zachar? Your parah aduma is worth $2 million, minimum. You want to ruin your parah aduma? You want to make it puzzle so that it maybe could have another parah aduma or whatever? It's a $20 thing. For $20, you're going to ruin your parah aduma? It's worth $2 million. Right now, you could sell for $2 million. Why in the world would you ask him to have that zachar? So he says it's like a catch-22. So you're right. I don't want the zachar. So therefore, what? It's kosher. So if it's kosher, then it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, then it becomes possible. It goes around in a circle, and that's why it passes. I just thought I'd point that out. It's Tosfos the Ramaskel, Af, Ubad in the middle. My time, Iksiv Ubad, Vikarinan Ubad. So if you remember, I don't know if I should go back here. Hold on, let me see if I can go back real quickly without making everybody mishuga. Oh, here we go. So we had a very, very similar sugya. I don't remember where, like just a few daf ago. The Torah says yitain without a vav, and we read it with a vav. Yutan means that it shall be given. Yitain means you yourself put it. Yutan means it rained by itself on the pears. We're talking about mushal kapel tuma. That the only way a fruit can become tamei is if you put water on it deliberately. And the Gemara says, why didn't the Torah just put a vav? Why are you reading it as if there's a vav and there's no vav? That says the Gemara because it's very important to know that there's a combination between yitin and yutan. It's a combination of both. Over here, the Gemara does the same exact thing. Let's go off of this. Says the Gemara, so here's the pasuk, right? Loi ubad ba. We read it as if there's a vav after the ayin, ubad, but it's really written. Hakadosh Baruch Hu wrote it without a vav, avad. Without a kudus, you'd read it avad. Avad means it worked. Ubad, you worked. Yeah. So the Gemara says like this: Iksiv ubad, work happened to it. Vikarinan ubad, and that's how. If it really said it like that and it really meant that. Here, this ksiv and kri, how it's written and how we pronounce it. If it would be written with a vav, ubad, and we actually read it, ubad, would mean that it happened by itself. So anything that happened by itself, meaning if a bird lands on its back, would be puzzle. So you'd have to have a red heifer or parah aduma that never had anything touch its back. Okay, it's very hard. V'ksiv avad, and if it would say the word avad like it does today, but we would read it differently than we read today. We would read it with avad. That means that you deliberately went and you worked it. What happens if it happened by itself and you wanted it? That's what we need to know. That's the case we don't have. So again, we have a case that it happened by itself. If it just said ubad, it means it would happen by itself. Avad means you deliberately did it. Now that it says it avad, but we read it ubad, we have a combination. V'ksiv avad, but now that it's missing the vav, but we read it as if there's a vav, now we need that it happened by itself, similar to when you did it yourself. That what? Just like you like it, you want it, you're happy with it. In other words, when the bird lands on its back and you're happy about it, or with the zachar, then it makes it possible. It says in the Mishnah that if you find a silver vessel or copper, you're permitted to use it. You should use it so it doesn't get ruined before you find the original owner. Tana Rabbana. What about wood? You should use it so it doesn't rot. Copper. Or you can use it with hot water. Put hot food in it, but not on the fire. Because you ruin it. If it's silver, the opposite. You can use it for cold water, not for hot water, because you what's the word in English? Yeah, but there's a better word probably. Tarnish, thank you, that's the better word. Tarnish. If you have an axe and like some sort of shovel, you found this, Mishtamish berach, you can use it for soft material, avaloi bikasha, not hard material. Nay, shemafchison, you don't want to take the edge off. So there's a maisa where a person was hired to cut wood, and the person, the first day that he chopped trees down, he chopped down 100 trees, let's say. Second day, 90. Third day, 80. The guy that hired him is wondering what's going on. So he goes, he hides in the forest, and he watches, and he sees the guy's working like a dog. He's mamish working. So he approaches him and says, let me see what's going on. Why? How come today? He sees that the axe is dull. So he tells him, I don't understand. Why don't you sharpen the axe? So he says, sharpen the axe. I don't have time to sharpen the axe. It takes 5 minutes. I'm going to sit here and waste my time sharpening the axe. The Brisker Rav once said an amazing thing. You know what I'm talking about, Rababa? What? No, okay. Rababa Renner is here. What's going on here? Okay, so the Brisker Rav, I think it was the Brisker Rav, he told somebody, you're such a masmid that you're forgetting to be a Talmud Chacham. Sometimes you have to stop and pause during the day and say, what am I doing? Like, bring it together. Think deep about why you're doing it, how you're doing it. Why am I learning? Not, you're such a masmid, you forgot to be a Talmud Chacham. It's an unbelievable line if you think about it. So everybody take it to their own, we go through the day, we do, by rot, we do the same thing, and sometimes you forget to pause. Just sharpen the axe for 5 minutes. You'll have double the productivity. Says the Gemara, clay zov clay zechus. If you find golden vessels and glass vessels, lo yigabem, don't touch it at Shiavi Elio until the same halachas apply when somebody asks you to watch something. What do you do? Why do you have to let the guy that owns it come over and shake it and do whatever he has to do? Why do you have to deal with it? We're talking about that the owner is not here, so you have to take care of the bikadim. We're talking about a guy that's choshever than thou. It's a pasnisht, it's a pasnisht. I'm going to schlep up, I found a box. I'm going to schlep this thing in the middle of the street. How do you know that a guy was pastimnisht is potter from Hashavas Aveda? Imagine the Rav in your shul, your Rebbe, finds a bike and he's going to start walking down 13th Avenue with a bike. It's not acceptable. So this is why I like these charts, because the Gemara doesn't bring this right over here. Sorry, this one. But it's very important for the sugya just to understand. It's a very simple sugya, and we're not going. It's just these lines right here. On the one hand, the Torah says in Pasuk Aleph, "V'hisalamta mehem." You should. It's a hi Rebbe of Rumi. Rami Leibovitz, the first guy from Borough Park to join our shir. First guy from Borough Park. On YouTube, when there's 4 people, I'm not, maybe even less. 4, remember those days? Huh? Stand up for a second, so I don't know who you are. Stand up, no. And Nachman Seltzer would say to him, "Good morning, Avrami." You'll hear the shiurim. "Good morning, Avrami." I was like, "Nachman, stop it. The Olam's going to watch this. It's thousands of people on YouTube." He says, "No, it's only 2. We're the thing. This year is not going to grow more than over here. Don't worry about it." Okay. Huh? Anyway, the Torah over here in Pasuk Aleph is not saying that you should disregard an Aveda. It means you shouldn't. But the Gemara is using it like, on the one hand, it says, "V'hisalamta," positive. Ignore the Aveda. And Pasuk Gimel says, "Lo yisucha," you shouldn't. So it's a contradiction, sort of. It's a play with words. So Gemara says, because sometimes when you're Talmud Chacham and it doesn't pass, then you're not even Talmud Chacham, a very wealthy guy. Yeah, Bill Gates is going to start giving back a bike. No, it's a pasnish. If you're a certain person, you can ignore it. Certain person not. Okay, it's that. You're a kohen and there's an animal running around the basic forest. You don't go in there. Let me see what we have here. Oh, it'll take 10 seconds, but it'll be there. Here's one picture. Here's, I think, a better one. So I want to tell you, Rabbi Akiva Eiger once asked somebody, he says, Reuven, go collect money for your uncle. He's not doing well. He needs money. So he tells Rabbi Akiva Eiger, he says, it doesn't pass me to go around collecting money. It's not my thing. So the Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, you know, there's a Gemara in Bava Metzia Daf Lamed that says, Zokim ve'ini lefich voidoi. Se passt nicht. But guess what? Me besorcha al tesalim. From your own mishpacha, you mechuyev, even though se passt nicht. Boys, you all heard the song. MDY is a family. Da 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 da. Okay, anyway, what am I trying to say? Charity, Rabbi, charity. You can't leave your brothers out there, Nebuch, like that. You have a chiyuv to be mevayis yourself just a little bit. You come out of your comfort zone. Huh? Yossi, you like that one? It's nicht schlecht. Doilim didn't like it very much. He loved it. So what, you going to take a page? Let me ask. You going to take a page? He loved it, but he's not going to take a page. Great. Zakti Gemara. What if you're a doctor? You earn $1,000 an hour. Now you're going to start wasting your time, so to speak, to pick up the bicycle and return it to the proper owner. How much does the bike cost? $100. But why should I lose $1,000? You have the right. The Gemara is going to go into exactly what it means. Ask the Gemara, which one of these cases do you need a pasuk for? Of course, a kohen cannot become tamei. There's a mitzvah to return an object, but on the flip side, you have two isurim. Let me see the psukim here for a second. Here, two isurim for kohen to become tamei. Lo yitame ba'amav. It's a negative. Do not. That's a lo yisaseh. And also say doishim yiu leilokayim. There's a positive. There's a mitzvah saseh. So it's 2 against 1. Rashi says, but what about the fact that there's also a positive and a negative when it comes to Shabbos Haveda? Lo yisasalim. We just had it. He says, okay, for that you don't do a isser of going to basic forest. Look at Rashi over here on the bottom. Fine. Says the Gemara. But what about the fact that, and this is neged to us as well. It's neged to everybody. Sometimes we take, like you say, oh, I'm going to lose a lot of money, so I'm a lot of chveisvas. I could eat a little treif. No, nobody does that. But I'm just saying, you know what I mean. Have some mammon, have some meruba. So I'm allowed to tell the guy, Amir Lakim is okay. I don't know what. People have different there. No, we never do an isser to save money. So Hashavas Aved is money. The coin has an isser to become tummy. You can't do that. Ella l'shaloi meruba mishal chaveiroi. So obviously he's talking about the case that he's a doctor and he doesn't have to go and waste his time, so to speak, returning the object. You can learn from Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Don't Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Efes kiloya b'cha evion. It's an interesting pasuk. This is isser for a person to become poor. What does that mean? If you have a good job, you say, I'm lazy. I don't want to work. And now listen, if you don't have a job, then you don't have this isser. But a person that has the capability and he decides he wants to be an evion, he wants to be poor. Asur. But what it says here is shalcha koydem l'shel kol adam. You come first, right? Many times, you tell a wife, you tell a mother, before you could deal with your kids, you have to take a break for yourself. You're also a human being. You come first. You don't have to lose $1,000 so that guy could get his object back that costs $50. And this brings me back to my Moridika friend who gave us $25,000 because I had a little bit of a discussion with him. I said, you got to take upon yourself a little bit more Torah. Slow down. He works 17, 18 hours a day. He said, stop. It's not going to help you. You're not going to make more money. He says, yeah, but I have an Christ, the Klal Yisroel, you have a lot of tzedakah, this and that. So, I told him, I said, this Gemara right here. I said, you have a Christ to yourself first before Klal Yisroel. You got to fill up your bank account. You can't just work, and give to others. You have a Christ to yourself. What about your Olam Haba in terms of Torah, in terms of even Olam Hazeh? You have to take care of yourself first. Omer Rabba. Hikisha Chayevba. So, sponsors, yeah. I met this Choshev sponsor actually of Kinnovations. I don't know if I said it last night. Oh, but you know why? Because he's not sponsoring. Well, I'll say it today because Ahron Fraiman is in the audience. Ahron Fraiman, stand up for a second. Where are you? There you go. That's Ahron Fraiman. He's guilty of that whole. In honor of my uncle, Ahron Fraiman and his zechus Simcha ben Fega. The sponsors, Ner Tamid of Baltimore. By the way, the chizuk that I got last night. I met so many people from Ner Tamid that never learned Torah in their life. Fishel took it upon himself, and this guy Simcha, the chef over there, they're going to bring 137 people to learn Torah. Many of them didn't learn B'chlal, or they didn't learn in 30 years. You have conservative Jews there. You had all sorts of types of Yidden that Mamish never learned. So we'll say it again, Kavana now. Ner Tamid of Baltimore, Maryland, in honor of Fishel and Simcha Gross, thanks to them, 137 people learned 16,166 daffim, over 727,000 minutes when mesayem Bava Kama with MDY. It was unbelievable. Mamish unbelievable. And about 40 people, without incentives, without anything, continued on with Bava Metzia. And many others, I don't know the number, are doing Amud Yomi, Mishnah Brewer Yomi. The Rav told me, let me tell you what the Rav told me. I met him yesterday. He said, he got up on Yom Kippur and he said, Rabbi Isai, I think the Olam should learn for 5 minutes a day. He said, I thought I was being a mechutzef. I went up in front of the whole kehillah and I said, we have to learn for 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes a day. And he says, look what happened. They're learning an hour a day and they're tumbling and learning, he said. They come to the Beis Medrash and they're discussing, he said, like this and like that. And does he have to pick it up and not pick it up? It's unbelievable what happened. I asked for 5 minutes and it's over an hour. One guy called Fishel Gross and Simcha Gross. Unbelievable. Zok the Gemara. So, Iboilu, we'll do 2 more minutes and we'll take a pause. Iboilu. Omer Rabba. 2 lines from the top. Hikisha. You see an animal that you're not mechuyev to bring back because you're a choshev rebbe and you don't mess with the animals. But you took a stick and gave it a clap. You hit it. By you doing that, chayev ba. Now you became chayev. A marshal, stam, it just hit me. Sometimes a guy goes, you're debating, you're Rosh Yeshiva, you're debating whether or not you should take this bacher. He's a little bit of a troublemaker. You're not mechuyev to take him. But once you take him into the yeshiva, hikisha b'maka, that's it. He becomes yours. Now you have a chrayas. Whatever he does, now you have to sit and work with this guy. You don't have to take care of this aveda, whatever. But once you touch it, it becomes yours. Abaye Yosef kamed the rabba. Abaye sat in front of the famous rabbi. Again, his stepfather, his rebbe. There's goats over there. Now it's rabba. They're learning Torah. Who wants goats around? Shokal kolo shadabu. We took a piece of dirt, threw it at the goats to chase them away. Omerle, Rabbi tells Abaya, oh, now you're stuck. You made the move, that's it, they're yours. Kuma Adrino, now it's your responsibility to return those goats to the rightful owners. Question. Darkoi lahachzir besoda, vein darkoi lahachzir be'ir. You have a choshev rebbe, a rosh yeshiva. He doesn't mind returning things in the field because nobody sees him. But he doesn't do that in the city. Mao. So what's the Gemara's Shiloh? Here's an interesting Shiloh. Does a gadol be Yisrael? Is he chayiv? Look, gadol. We said einoi lefi chvaydoi is potter from hashavas aveda. Is a gadol be Yisrael chayiv in bikur chaylim? Does a rebbe that has 20,000 Hasidim, does he have to go to the hospital to visit the schwache guy? Yes or no? Sadzach. Why? Bikur chaylim he doesn't have to. I mean, Shabbos Aveda doesn't have to, so why Bikur chaylim? It's a pasnisht for him to go into a hospital and the chayzos. So the answer is, they say that he is chayiv, and they bring it right from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Rebbeinu Shalom is mevaka chayla. But I thought also, I didn't understand so well, because the Rebbeinu Shalom is also Meshav Aveda. Okay. Says the Gemara. Maybe the Torah went out of its way to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mevaka chayla. The Torah doesn't go out of its way. I don't know. You need to do a complete Hashavas Aveda. But even the lav darki lahachze be'ir lo lechayev, he could do the first part, but he can't do the second part. In order for him to be meishav Aveda, he has to go from the field all the way through the city. One part he could, but that's not a complete Hashava. Or Dilma, perhaps, pasada miya asuda chayvle. Lemaisi is mechuyev to lift it up and start the process. Even the chayvle pasada, once he's chayev, so now he's mechuyev to go through the city, teiku, like Abaya. Once you start, that's it, you're stuck. Says the Gemara, remember the question I asked all them in the beginning this year. The question was, you're walking in Chicago, you don't use the Eruv. Why don't you use the Eruv? Because you have a Chumrah. Most of the people, 90% of the people use the Eruv. Some briskers, some guy that used to live in Eretz Yisrael and his father doesn't carry an Eruv, no. But there are the people use the Eruv over there. All the Rabbanim give it. And you find an Aveda, do you have to return the Aveda or not? Is the Iraisa, the Chiyuv, the Mitzvah Sasei of Hashiv Teshiveh? Or, no, you have a Chumrah. The Olam seem to say, you have a Chumrah, you don't have to. It made sense to them. They're right. The Gemara says like this, Omar Rava Kol Sheb Shaloi Machzir. If you are the type of person that you stop on the way and you pick up a box, you see your bicycle in the middle of the street, you walk it home on 13th Avenue, so then you are mechuyev to do the same for your friend. I think we have a good picture here. We're about to answer the question. If you are the type of person that when your donkey breaks down, it's too heavy for it, you unload it, you load it, you do whatever you need to do. If you're the type of guy that when your donkey breaks down, you just let it die on the side of the road because it's a pasnish, so then for your friend also. But if you're the type of guy that saves your own donkey, you say, you that? Oh, so mamela. That's the heter. If my object, my jacket fell in the street, I wouldn't pick it up and carry it in Chicago because I'm makbid on the Eruv. So then I'm not mechuyev to do for you. Yes, it's a mitzvah deraisa. But the mitzvah deraisa is only as far as it goes for you. And we see over here, if you're a zaken, ve'enoi lefi chvayda, you're not mechuyev to take care of this aveda. So too, if you're a type of guy, not a zaken, that's what they even ask. Why does it even say zaken? Just say, if it's not lefi chvayda, any person, if I it's a past minish to pick up a piece of pizza from the floor, so is it that I'm not also? So in Chicago, the halacha would be that anybody that's not makbid on an Eruv is not mechuyev to pick up. Anybody that's makbid on an Eruv is not mechuyev to pick up the aveda. Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yossi have a kazal burcha. Maridik a story. Rabbi Shmuel is walking on the way. Pagabahu gavra. He bumps into a person. Havadari piska de ufe. The guy had a tremendous amount of wood on his shoulder, very heavy load. He sat down and relaxed. And then he turns to Rabbi Shmuel, Omar Lei, Dolili, could you please rearrange the wood on me? Think about it. A Rebbe, a Gadol Adar, start arranging wood on a person. Again, it's pasnished. Omar Lei, and by the way, there's a nidoin in the Rishonim even, I think it's the Rush that I saw it in, that talks about if a person, a Gadol, wants to do it, is he allowed to? It's not covered a Torah. It's not covered a whatever. So let's see what we can find out from here. Is there somewhat of an answer here in that shaila? They want to be medayik from the story. Omalei kama shavin. How much is all the wood? Tell me how much the wood is, I'll just give you the money right now. Instead of you schlepping it to the city and selling it, I'll pay for it. Omalei palga de zuzah, half a zuz. Yovalei palga de zuzah. So he gave him a half a zuz. And then he went, va'afkaro, and Rabbi Yishmael said it's all hefker. Why? So nobody else should take it and be over in Gezel, Taisa says. So this guy's a big clever man. Oh, this hefker wood. Let me be zoich in the hefker wood, and let me sell it, and let me ask Rabbi Yishmael to rearrange it on my shoulder. So Nachamal. So Hodar Yav Asari, where am I? Yavli Palga the Zuz of Afkira. Hodar Zachabu. So the guy went ahead and zoich in the wood. Hodar Yavli Palga the Zuz of Afkira. So Rabbi Yishmael went again and said, how much is it worth? Half a zuz, here it is, take a half a zuz. Chazi, Rabbi Yishmael noticed, he's about to do it for the third time. I'm making it hefker, besides you, let me get out of here in one piece without helping you. Ask the Gemara, me have a hefker. That doesn't work. And in fact, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. If you make it hefker just for the poor, it's hefker. Just like shmita, you could take any fruit you want, whether you're wealthy or poor. So too, when you do a hefker, it has to be for everybody. You can't just say, I'm making hefker for particular people. Oh, no, Rabbi Yishmael knew this, and he made it hefker for the whole world. But Rabbi Yishmael lied to the guy, tricked him. He said, oh, I'm not making, he knew the guy's an Amaretz. Oh, I'm not making hefker for you. Okay, so the guy was makabel, but it was not true. It was hefker even for him. Asked the Gemara the bomb question, Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yosef, he was a gadol, and he didn't have to deal with the guy. He just kept him walking. Why did he have to pay him? Rabbi Yosef wanted to go above and beyond the letter of the law, to be a chassid, to do above. So that's why he paid him. So from here, they want to say, look, he could have also put it nicely on his shoulder. No, maybe he's not allowed to, says the Rosh. But to give him money, he could. Let me see where we have this. It's in the wrong place. Oh, take a look at this. Beautiful job by Rabbi Yoshi. Sorry, this one. Okay, this is the beginning. It says in the pasuk that Baruch tells Moshe Rabbeinu, and this is familiar because we had this in Bava Kama. Shall notify them the way. How does a yid have to act? Saderech, yelchu bo. We're going to darshan every single word. V'samasa, and how? What action do you take? Asher yasim. So let's just see it over here. Voidat lahem beis chayim. They should have parnasa. They should make a living. Although in Bava Kama we learned that means Torah. Es haderech means you should do chesed, gmilus chesed. Yelchu is bikur cholim. Ba is to bury the dead. Ves hamasa, that we should go to din Torah, everything should be din Torah. Asher yason is lefnim mishur sadin. So the Gemara is going to say, you see from here, they have to act lefnim mishur sadin. Let's see it inside. The Torah of Yosef datelem ze beis chayim. Es haderech zug milus chasadim. You should act with chesed. This is a vitz, like a story about the Chazanish. He was walking the street and he saw like a peel in the middle of the street, so he gave it a kick to the side. And he said, it says in Bava Metzia, that you make way for people through chesed. Yelchu ze bikur cholim. Ba zu kvura, v'samasa ze hadin, asher yasim zu lifnei mishur zadin. Omar Yelchu ze bikur cholim. Yanu gmilus chasadim. It's already included. Bikur cholim is chesed. Says Gemara Nitzuchel ben Giloy. I mentioned this Gemara. I said in the name of the Ran and the Dorim that when you go visit somebody that has your mazel, ben Giloy, Domamar, ben Giloy, you're literally taking a 60th of its disease. So maybe you don't have to put yourself in a sakana. You don't have to give yourself a disease. No, the Torah says you have to. That regular chesed wouldn't require you to do that. But over here, the Torah says, go take a 60th from his machla. Ba zukvura. Sorry. You should go and take it from him. Ba zukvura. Fragt die Gemara, Hainu Gimilas Chasadim, isn't Kfura Gimilas Chasad, Lo Nitzracha Ella Lezakin Ve'inoi Lefi Chvoidai. A person that's beyond his. Oh, before I say this, I got to tell you, the Panovich Rav went to a really stingy guy to collect money. A very wealthy guy, but very stingy. So the guy tells the Panovich Rav, what do you want from me? You know I don't give money. What do you want from me? He said, I'm not coming here for money. I'm coming here for Bika Chaylam. You're a Chayla. You're sick. You're sicko. You have all this money. You don't want to give money. I'm coming to be like a chayla. So the guy didn't just let him off the hook. He says, "What do you mean? If you're such a tzaddik, you go be like a chayla. Go to the hospital. There's a lot of chaylim there. Why are you coming to my house?" He says, "No, because it says if you're like a chayla, you take 1/60th of the guy's machla. I'm trying to get a 60th." So the next one is kvura. As a Gemara, Kvura, to bury the dead, Hainu Gemilos Chasadim. He's a chashav person. Nachamal, the Rebbe should go dig and the Rebbe should bury. No. You mechuyev to. Torah says, ba, you mechuyev to. So, Gevaldik, there's a very Gevaldik Amaisa. You probably saw it, but if not, let me show it to you. I unfortunately forgot the guy's name. I thought it's Rabbi Stevens, but I think I might be mistaken. Basically, Rabbi Gold from Los Angeles, the guy that gives those beautiful stories and he interviews the people from the stories. So this is one of his stories. You could look it up on YouTube. I typed in Rabbi Gold burying. This is the story. So the story is that this chashav person's wife had yard side, and every year they would go in Staten Island to the cemetery. And one year they weren't going to make it to the cemetery on the yard side. So they were driving together like 2 weeks before. He tells his wife, you know what, let's just do it now, 2 weeks early. Okay, so they go off the highway. And they say to him, and they're about to leave, and all of a sudden they see a hearse come in with a nifter, and 9 people, and they scream, Center, could you come? So he tells his wife, okay, I'll do Kaddish. And then they turn around and they walk away. He says, where are you going? You didn't bury yet. What's going on? He says, no, the tractor, let the tractor do it. So he says, he remembers, and on the video, I don't have the whole thing here, he remembers that when he was in Ner Yisroel, and that's why I like the Maisa, because it's Negete here. He's a Zaken Ve'en. I don't mean old, I mean in terms of Chashivas. He looks like a Gaver Rabba. And he learned in Ner Yisroel, and it was in Ner Yisroel this morning. Talking to Rashivas, I figured, okay, I'll tell you the story. He learned in Ner Yisroel, and they have a video of him learning in Ner Yisroel, and he learned that putting the dirt on, that's also part of the Meis Mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to put the dirt on and not let the tractor do it. So he goes to the driver of the tractor and says, do you mind if I do it? He says, no, I don't mind. It took him an hour and a half. He sits and he covered the mace. He goes and he talks to Rabbi Neuberger from Ner Yisroel. And he tells him the Maisa. He says, this is the person, Rabbi, that's the guy's name? Rabbi Amon from Deal. Rabbi Aman. Okay, now it makes sense. Of Deal. Yishkoyach, thank you. Whew. So Rabbi Aman, who learned in Ner Yisroel, Rabbi Neuberger tells him, you're not going to believe it. Because right before he left, he took a note of who he buried. You remember the name? Rabbi Neuberger says, you're not going to believe this. When you were young and you were in Ner Yisroel, your parents didn't have money for the tuition. And this mace, this guy you buried, he paid every dime of your tuition. He came 2 weeks early. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made him come 2 weeks early from the yard side. He's never there during the year. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him the idea to bury him. It's unbelievable. Mavel al Arayim. When you give, you get. What comes around goes around. V'chulu, v'chulu, v'chulu. What's this? This room, with Makabal on themselves, just this room, $116,000 from MDY in Torah. Unbelievable. Just this room. And Brooklyn, in general, over $250,000. So unbelievable. Shkoyach Gadol Ma'od. The world is going to thank you. The people that we're going to save and we're going to help, they're all going to thank you. And you know what? It's going to be better for everybody. We're going to increase a lot of different things, Be'ez Hashem, in terms of art, in terms of, it's going to be Givaldic. Okay. Zokt the Gemara. Oh. Lefnim Mishur Sadin. Asher Yasun, Zu Lefnim Mishur Sadin. That you have to act above the letter of the law, above the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, Rabbi Shmuel didn't have to return the Aveda, but he went above, and he gave him money. The reason why Yerushalayim was Nechrav the Beis Hamikdash is because they went to Din Torah. Asked the Gemara, Ladina the Megista, the Daino, what do you want them to do? They shouldn't go to Din Torah. Oh, Elaima, Shemidu Dineim al Din Torah. They were being makbid on the letter of the Torah. Sometimes you have to go. You are not so familiar with this, but I live in Eretz Yisrael in an apartment building, and I'm serious. Sometimes you have to go above the letter of the law. I said this Maisa, maybe I shouldn't say it. I won't say it. Whatever. One of my neighbors was wrong, and he lost the Din Torah to me. I said, you know what? Let's go to Rav, and he lost, and he paid me. And then a week later, it was more like a month later, I said, here, take the money. Like, I wanted to make a point. You were wrong. You owe me the money. And now that I have the money, you go above. I'm not saying that that's what, sometimes you go above. Because if you don't go above and beyond, you go exactly like the Torah says, Nechrav Beis HaMikdash. But I'll explain it better, based on Tosfos. As Tosfos, we all know, why was the Beis HaMikdash destroyed, Rabbi Yisai? Why? Sinas Chinam. One of the main reasons in the Gemara, first bais, second bais. How in the world can the Gemara say it's because Lefnim Mishur Sadin? So they explain Tosfos, I think the Chavetz Chaim explains Tosfos' answer. That no. The Beis HaMikdash was Nechra because of Sinas Chinam. But why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu does Lefnim Mishur Sadin, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevater. But if you're not mevater, if you're going to go exactly by the letter of the law, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu is also going to go, Mida Keneged Mida. I'm going to go by the letter of the law. And the letter of the law says that if you have Sinas Chinam, I have to destroy the Beis HaMikdash. So it comes out that the Lefnim Mishur Sadin is what destroyed the Beis HaMikdash because of Sinas Chinam. Zok Teilegi Mishnah. We'll just do the Mishnah and then we'll stop. Should we, what? No, baby. I know. Let's just do the Mishnah and finish. Ezu Aveda. This is a simple Mishnah. What does an Aveda look like? Motzah chamor apar roim baderech. You go up north in Eretz Yisrael, you see cows grazing on the side of the road. That's not an Aveda, that's normal. Ezu Aveda. Chamor v'kelev afuchim. If you do like this picture that we had before, wherever it is, lam shaneh, you know what I'm talking about? This. You see this guy all upside down. So that's an Aveda. Chamor v'kelev afuchim. Par rotza ben akromim. Where's the para Rotza Ben Akromim? I'm just showing you. Oh, I forgot to show you the video. Let me just show you the video real quickly. If we're already here.
If you give me a shovel and I'll do it for you, you could go and I'll bury the person. The guy says, I don't mind.
Rabbi Ammon spent an hour and a half finishing the burial until the entire grave was covered with dirt. He turned to put the marker that the family had left and stick it into the grave, but right before he did that, he took note of the name and wrote it down.
Sorry, the Rabbi Gold came out like that. He's a good-looking fellow. Okay. Zok the Gemara. Oh, but I was looking for another picture. Oh, Ben Akromim. You see a par of Rotza Ben Akromim. Hareza Aveda. It's not normal. First of all, the par is going to damage itself. It's going to get hurt by all the vines. It's going to damage the vines. Ichziru Barcha. Ichziru Barcha. Gevaldig Rabboise. Check this out. Ichziru Barcha. Ichziru Barcha. Okay, that's our guy. You see, look, the Olam laughed a little bit, yeah? This is 3D animation, and it's another full-time guy. We need three of these guys, Be'ez Hashem. One day, says the Gemara, zero baruch, chamisha pamim, chayv lach zero. You have to return it no matter what. Shenemar hoshev teshivim double lashon. That means there's no limit. Chayabatam esela. If it costs you a selah to be invited, lo yomer lo ten li selah. I'm a doctor. I make $1,000 an hour. You pay me $1,000 for taking care of your bike. You can't do that. You get like a worker. The Gemara is going to explain it. Bezdin, if there's Bezdin, Massive Bifnei Bezdin, you make a condition from the Bezdin. It ain't Shom Bezdin. If you don't have, Bifnei Miyasna, Shaloi Koidem. Since you can't do the Tnai, so you come before, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, Yishkoyach for coming out, tremendous HaKor Satoiv. You can also get other people to take on pages, to bring money, v'chulu, v'chulu.